Welcome back to the podcast. And today we have a solo episode on finding and growing a team. Like many of you, I'm a small business owner, right? So I have didn't really have anyone to teach me how to start and grow a business. I've done a lot wrong for a lot of years and I've always worked on improving. And one of the big things that I'm still in the process of now is finding and growing a successful team. And so what I'm about to talk, the points I'm about to go over is what I've really learned over the last year and a half. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it became very hard to find and keep attorneys and support staff. I think it had something to do with the pandemic, and then everybody was looking to change jobs to make more money, and so we had the Great Resignation and people starting new jobs and going new places. Well, that dramatically affected my business, right? I went from 8 attorneys to 2 in a 2-month period and was working on growing back my staff for the last year and a half. So I've learned a lot through this process, and they say that you don't get better at things unless they get your attention by being hard. And so this was a hard thing that I had to deal with and get better at. And so, throughout the course of the last year and a half, I've done some things good, some things bad, and really worked at becoming a better leader, having better processes that make people want to stay, right? So, things that I have learned, and obviously this is still in process, but what I've learned so far that have helped me grow my team now, that have some stability and some stable people, right? And so the first thing is, once people come in to interview, really think about what questions are important to you, right? So some of the big ones are, for me, what are your top values as a human? Like, what do you value most as a human? Because I want to find out what they say, if it aligns with our firm's values and my values, like integrity, respect, honesty. All of those things are big things that, and have them tell you why they're your values, right? I like to get to know a person first. Tell me a little about yourself, like where you came from, what do you want to do next? And I really want to know what their goals are in their life, so we can align on those things, right? And, somebody doesn't want to be in this field at all that we work in, it's not going to work out. So, try to make sure our goals align. I always ask a question too: what do you do, or how do you handle a situation where you mess something up? And I've gotten several different answers, and I really do believe that's a telling sign as to how they would really handle a situation that they did screw something up. Obviously, they're going to have ideal ideas in an interview, and if it's still something that you wouldn't want, then right off the bat that they're not going to be a fit. So the most thing that I can tell you is in the interview, really just try to get to know the person, because you can tell if somebody's going to work or somebody's not going to work, right? If like they have the wrong attitude, the wrong ideals, the wrong ideas, if you're just don't have the same alignment on values and what's important, like one of the big things I'm looking for in attorneys is that, why did you go to law school, right? And what matches my values and why I went to law school in the firm that I'm trying to grow is I went to law school to help people, right? And so the ultimate goal at the end of the day in running my firm is to help people. And I want people who align with that same message. If you went to law school to make more money, and that's really not going to align with what we do here, and you're not going to fit, because really at the end of the day, yes, making money is important. I'm all here for that. But the purpose, we have a purpose that's much bigger than money. It's helping other people run successful businesses by improving their contracts, collections, and making sure they have an excellent customer experience too, right? And so part of helping people is that you care about them and you'll make sure they have an excellent customer service. So, give yourself some time to get to know the person, and you usually can tell if they're going to be a fit or not. And then trust your gut on this issue. If absolutely this is not going to be a fit, just whatever they're saying or their vibe they're giving off just doesn't fit with what you got going on, what your processes are and what your goals are, then just trust your gut and go on to the next one. And here's the thing is, we're going to go over some other things too, but trying to cramp just to have a warm body to fill a space can be more detrimental than having no one at all, right? Because they can talk to your clients, they can talk to your customers, they can mess things up bigger than not being there at all, right? And then plus they're mad because they get fired and then they go put up bad reviews. So really taking the time and trust your gut. Don't just try to have somebody there to fill a spot. I've had that backfire several times because it can be very dangerous. So you go through the interview, you like them. What are the next steps? So one of the big things that I've really worked on the last year and a half is being clear about expectations, right? I tell them about clients this all the time when they're drafting contracts. The whole purpose is to manage expectations so everybody knows what's happening and you'll have a successful relationship. Well, it turns out in the employee-employee relationship, it's the same thing. What can they expect? How are things going to be handled? So I think there's like a couple components to this, right? So the first one, I think, is having an employee handbook, which says, okay, here's when you're eligible for benefits. Those are what those benefits are. Here's how we handle PTO request. All of the different things about how the administrative side of your business runs. Office hours. When do you expect to be here? What to do if you need to call in sick? PTO, vacation time, all of that stuff just being spelled out, and how you get it, how you accrue it, how do you use it, right? What do you do if you have questions? Who do you come to? And just being very upfront about the disciplinary policy, right? 3 strikes and you're out, about the first 90 days of your employment being a probationary period, which we're going to see if we're a fit or not. This also helps with if you do have to let somebody go, you need to fire somebody, having this process and the fact that you have write-ups and warnings before somebody gets fired will actually help your case tremendously if somebody who was truly fired files for unemployment, right? We've all had it happen. Someone gets fired for cause, but they go and file for unemployment anyways. When the best way to combat that unemployment claim is to have a handbook that says, here's my disciplinary policy. It's a 3-strike write-up. And then following that policy with, we gave them 2 strikes. We even tried to put them on a performance improvement plan when here's the steps we were going to take to try to make them better. And I still couldn't do it. Having that process, number 1, and then following it, number 2, and all written via email, somewhere where you can put your hands on it when the time comes to say, hey, no, this person was actually fired. Here's why, and here's all the different things I tried to do to prevent them from being fired. As I say that, so if you have the probationary period like we do, if you fire somebody within that first 90 days, they're not eligible for unemployment. It's after the 90 days that you get into write-ups and performance reviews when you fire somebody. So like here we have a 90-day probationary period, which, lets you get time to reach the full job description. So hiring somebody, first off, your administrative process and employee handbook, right? Be clear about what is expected. So that's on the administrative side. Now, the second part of that is job duties, right? So they come in having a very clear job description. And so my job descriptions are very clearly, here's what you're going to do. And we're going to have 30, 60, and 90-day check-ins. And here's where I expect you to be at 30 days. Here's where I expect you to be at 60 days. And here's where I expect you to be at 90 days. And if we're not meeting any of those metrics, we'll try to work with you a little bit. But if it's just not a fit, it's not a fit. So, that's another thing too, is that start off with a job description. If they don't fit the values, if they don't fit, with the other people that work there, if they can't work as a team, if they don't wait, it's not going to get any better. There are some things that are just inherent in people and you're not going to change. If somebody's falling down on a process or a system, you can usually work with that and tell them the correct processes and the correct systems to do. If it's just they clash with team members, they don't take directions, if it's a fundamental issue, it's better just to let them go early on and then trying to quit banging your head against the wall trying to fit somebody in a spot that they just don't fit. Okay, so be clear about what's expected. Employee handbooks, written job descriptions, right? With check-ins, 30, 60, 90-day check-ins. Here's where I'm at. And then system and processes, right? Your business should have system and processes for each department and each person in that department, right? So they know exactly what to do. And here's the thing is that, yes, have a general process, but they still have the freedom to make decisions on their own, but we're doing it within these general frameworks, right? So having the system and process is key. So they know exactly what they're supposed to do, what the requirements are, who they're supposed to work with, whatever it is. Having that process, taking the time to having systems and processes in your business makes it easy to hire somebody because then they come in, they have a handbook of, here's the administrative things, and here's the handbook for the system and processes, and especially for my job duty and who's my boss and who do I go to if I have questions, right? And so the system and process is a huge thing, just like job descriptions. It'll take time, but just start building it little bit by little. I know I've had a couple of people on the podcast previously, Josh Funger, and I think I've had on Sue Haibo, who both deal with system and processes. So I highly recommend getting a coach or someone to help you with those, because those are kind of essential to keep good employees. And also, if you want to scale your business, having good system and processes, where I'm also in the process of that one. So as I dive in, we'll do more episodes on that, because it's overwhelming for me as well, to really dive in and to work on those things. So, and then so you have all this, I have the job description, I have the processes, I have everything. And then the other part that you need to do as a good leader, as a good boss, when you see them not following the processes, not following the systems, is hey, pull them back and say, hey, no, this is how we handle this, and kind of coach them through why we do it that way. And here, here's if you need help, and really work with them to try to stay within those system and processes, right? Because you hire somebody, you really do want them to be successful, and so you keep bringing them back to the correct processes and systems, right? If they can't, then we need to know we need to let them go. But just as soon as you see it, because bad habits develop fast, right? As soon as you let somebody cross the line on this thing, you don't say anything there to try to cross it over here. And I think one of the things is, at least me as a boss or a leader, is that I assume that everybody knows what I know. Turns out that that's not the case, and I have not been the best communicator. So I'm really working on my communication skills. On it used to be the old me would be like, okay, go do your job, and when you don't do it, I'd get really mad and fire you because you weren't doing what I thought you should do. But I wasn't very clear on what was expected either, right? So this is a time to develop what's expected, being clear about it, giving everybody a fair chance. And when they step outside of something that's not expected, or need to do something the wrong way, to need to do it the right way, just letting them know, right? To clearly communicate expectations, and which is hard. Most visionaries, most leaders have a hard time with communication, or being vulnerable in a situation like that, or having the hard conversations. And you can hire people to help you with that too. So help you create the handbooks, help you create the system and processes. We do handbooks on a flat fee specifically for construction companies. Just something to think about. And system and processes. That's an overwhelming, daunting task, especially if you already have an ongoing business. But something that you'll definitely need to get to the next level. And there's, like I said, there's people out there that can help you. So be clear about expectations. As soon as they step out of bounds of the expectations, make sure to point it out and address it and show them how to do it the right way. Another thing that you'll get pushed back on is if you try to make these changes while you have current employees. So I've done this, and when you make changes and make people responsible and you hold them accountable, usually they'll leave, or complain about what a horrible place your office is, or because you've now changed these things, and that's not what they expected when they signed up. So you're kind of changing the rules in the middle of the game. And so some people who are dedicated and want to go with you on your path will dive in and be all on board, and other people will be like, hey, no, this is ridiculous, I didn't agree to this, and go find somewhere else to work. And so you got to decide, am I going to do what's right for my business, and am I going to grow my business and hang on to these system and processes, which is important for the growth and the success of your company, or you're afraid that people are leaving and you're not going to enforce them and let everything be a mess and not grow. So these really are some of the steps that you need to find and have a good team. Give yourself, somebody gets started, give yourself 30 days to know if somebody's a fit or not. You'll know at that point. You will know way before that, but just to be sure, give yourself 30 days. If you don't think they're a fit, just let them go at that point. It's the longer you wait to fire somebody who's not a fit, the harder it gets and the more damage that can be caused, right? So just being upfront about it. And bring them in on your mission, your vision of what you really want to do. Like I said, my whole goal here is to help people, and here's how we do that, right? And them seeing the help that we provide to people and collecting their money and making sure their contracts are fair and getting them out of disputes, so they don't have to go work for people they don't want to, right? Just supporting them running successful businesses. That's what we do, and so that's our goal. And I think, like I said, to me, I'm looking for somebody that wants to help people at the end of the day, and they'll be compensated accordingly. But that's the main value that I'm looking for, and to be on this team. But um, and helping people is being a good boss too, right? We employ 32 people. That's a lot of people to be responsible for, and I have got to know how to run a business somewhat in order to keep the doors open to make sure everybody gets a paycheck. That's a lot of pressure, but you get these things down, it gets easier. The more upfront you are, the easier it gets. But you just got to be disciplined enough to do it. Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you check out the rest of them. And if you like this episode, please share it, on social media. Let people know that what good content that we're creating. I really appreciate the time. Thank you.